25th of January 25, it's Saturday, and I just wanted to speak about this again. I spoke about it yesterday, but could this be a D-Day for Britain, if you want to call it something like that, political D-Day? Is this the day finally the natives realise that the Britain they love is lost, and now it's too late already, but they're going to have a go at trying to save it? And I mean this by Reform being, for the first time ever, being the top dog in surveys. Survey polls, at 26%, Tories and 23%, Labour 22%. Apparently find out now they say they're always biased towards the Reform, but probably, if anything, it's probably too low in my opinion, but an estimate. Because I'm wondering when the traditional native voters are going to, and even the native green voters, female especially, are going to realise, this is a disaster. And Keir recently called it an open border experiment or something, didn't he? In his speech in November. He called the Rotherham traditional Labour families who were rioting at an immigration hotel they put up there, and Rotherham's a place where we had one of the main grooming gangs. And Southport rioters, after they heard what happened to 3 young girls, possibly those people knew who it was. I don't know. To me it seemed like the local community, but Keir said in both those cases it was a far right bust-in, and he was going to send anyone who was giving misinformation on it to jail within a week, and very long sentence, whereas this court trial was going to take months, probably, 6 months, 7 months. Nobody was to say anything about it, and I'm just recording this because it may be a very momentous day, Reform being the top. And I thought this might be the first time for 100 years that neither Labour or Conservative have been top, but apparently the Brexit Party were top in a survey in 2019. I think maybe even this excellent Twitter account says it. And then here's another poll from Techni UK. Labour 25, Tory 24, Reform 24. So 3 horse really. I mean the error margin's like 1 or 2%, I think, usually in these. But I think this may be a momentous moment. So the Brexit Party maybe, but according to this excellent Twitter account, the last time a government was doing so badly was 1685, apparently. I didn't know that we had democracy back then as much. It was the Tory and the Whig Party. And this is where the Tories came to power, really, I think, because it was a Whig Party before then, and they had 270 votes, 79 votes. You needed 257 to run it. The Tories, they were, 210 or something. But that was maybe the last big turnaround. Well, that 1685, I don't know when the next one, because the Liberals came about after that. Maybe that was the Whig Party, changed their name. But then, till Labour came around about 1924, I think 1927 was our first government. That was a shared government, but that fell apart, I think. So 100 years really. This is the first big change in 100 years, and I'm hoping that it's because of one issue. I'm hoping that it's the natives voting on one issue on that we can't really speak about in Britain because we haven't got free speech. And I'm hoping it's not winter fuel allowance, something symbolic. It doesn't really matter. That's like the Chartist movement. I was always complaining about bread or whatever. I'm hoping it's the one issue which we're to believe is going to bring us utopia, but you're not allowed to think it might be anarchy, it might be a bad idea. Either you might think that you might be anxious it's going to be a bad thing, or you might feel it's a bad thing already. You're not allowed to think that way, and your children can report you to the police in Scotland, I think, if you have those thoughts and say anything aloud. But you really think it's going to be a utopia, the natives becoming a minority and becoming a global south collective majority, as they have, as Leicester Council calls itself, the global majority. I think Westminster Council calls itself that as well. They used to have variations of it, you know. Some are honest and call it global south, but I think they prefer to just call it global majority, you know. But anyway, this the natives finally turning and realising what's going to happen. And apparently, looking at this map, Wales is just going to, Labour are going to be a real thing in Wales. And I'm not surprised at that, you know. Wales and Scotland are ultra sanctuary regions, you know, their left-wing governments are native minority crazy, you know, they really want it to happen much sooner than in England. Same with Ireland at the moment. They want to be a global south majorities. And I did wonder, you know, Wales, I thought, surely, when are they going to turn? Because it didn't look as if they were going to turn till recently. But looking at this map that this thing, I mean, they're making it up themselves. This is their projection, but there's hardly a Labour seat in there, you know. Labour seats are usually tiny because it's the big build-up areas, but I mean, I'm not even sure they've got Cardiff or maybe get Swansea, but not Cardiff or the other way around. All those all those Labour South areas are going to reform. You've got a few reform at the top. You've got Clay, Primrose and Green there, but that's sparse areas. You've got a few traditional Tories. And then down in the southwest, the Labour are totally finished there. Like, quite a few reform ones around about Cornwall and that, which has probably changed a lot in the last 10 years. Southeast, I mean, apart from London, which is totally Labour by the looks of it, the whole lot's went for Reform or Tory. Who's that orange one? Is that Lib Dems? They're a nuisance. You shouldn't vote for them. And all the ones, look at that, there's hardly any Labour at all. Apart from a few built up areas, Liverpool still staying the same. So that's Sheffield in the middle. Even Birmingham, I'm not sure. I mean, we're going to get a lot of Global South pure identity candidates winning as well in the heavily changed constituencies. I mean, Blackburn will never go back to Labour, ever, or probably any native Brit will ever win that seat again. I think Jess Phillips' seat will go same way. There's quite a few. You've got a few in Yorkshire holding on there, I don't know why. Leeds maybe, don't know why. And then Scotland's total wipeout again, apart from that once. East Lothian, is that? I don't think they're even going to hold on. Ian Murray might not even hold on, it looks like they might actually. But they're foolish, and the Scots are still delusional. They're going for SNP as a protest vote, which SNP are even worse than this in Labour. I mean, John Swinney this week was saying that we need more visas, we need to change Scotland faster, we need the natives to be a minority much sooner. That was his message to the kilt-wearing SNP marchers. But do these marchers not realise? I mean, I think they're going to be the angriest of the lot once they realise. Because today in Robbie Burns' birthday, Robbie Burns considered going to Jamaica to work. So slowly it's going to come in. We need to topple his statues. I mean, the statue toppling committee at the moment is probably thinking Robbie Burns is target number one, but we can't because we need those kilt marching SNP voters to just now, because we're not good enough. We need them to go through this phase where the natives are still a majority. I think it's about 77% in Scotland at the moment. And that was the last census about 2 or 3 years ago, so maybe down to 72% now or something, because we've had 2 Boris wave bumper years, Boris and Rishi bumper years. Like 1.5 million each year came from the global south, basically. 90% or something from the global south to Britain. So native Scots might be about 70% at the moment. So Robbie Burns knighting that, it's going to start looking like a supreme white thing and a minority thing pretty soon. So the statues need top up, but they need the SNP voters at the moment, so Rabi's getting a buy at the moment. So, yeah, I just wanted to note that, because this could be the day the natives turn. It's too late. It's like having stage 2 terminal cancer. You're feeling alright, then you're maybe feeling a bit weird. You're thinking, oh my god, I need to try and save myself. It's too late, you know. It's too late already, even if you stopped it all today. So, what the green native female voters need to aim for at the moment is zero, and they'll probably want to go further than that long term. I mean, if you look at a green conference in Scotland, or I don't know about England, but maybe Scotland, it does look like a safe space. Yeah, I just wanted to notify this. So I think 24th of January could go down as a day that the natives didn't want to become a minority. They realised they were going to become a minority. They realised it wasn't going to be a utopia like the Mayor of London and Keir Starmer are saying. You're not allowed to think any other way. And we are seeing this in Scotland as well, because the best thing to do is check the council by-elections each week. That's what Harry Harman does, because it's a good sort of poll, it's a good survey of what's going on. And here's a new poll today. Labour 26%, Tories 24%, Reform 24%. So Reform up 2, Labour down 2, Tories down 1. So, well, that's a poll average, right? That doesn't count, right? I don't think they're very useful, those averages at the moment, because I think Reform's going to go up to about 40%, 45%. I think basically every native will vote Reform as a protest vote, because they're not very good on this issue. Rupert Law's good at doing tweets on it, he's the best. Still not good enough. Female Green voters will think in 5 or 10 years' time that's still not good enough. And the Care for Cali ladies will think the same as well. And Socialist Worker Party native females. Not good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Zero's not good enough. That's what they'll be thinking. There'll be absolute panic. They'll be hysterical. So that's what Lefty saying. As a Twitter this continues, remember a post we could do. That's good. I mean, I think the problem with this guy's a name, basically. And also, if they want to talk about Palestine, they'll probably find themselves blocked, or stopped. The left aren't allowed to talk about Palestine. So that's not really, I thought that was a new poll. And I've noticed that quite a few people are starting to use stats for lefties. I wonder. I mean, they've got the prettiest things. And they break down, they do an estimate. Because it's seats. As Keir would tell you, percentages don't matter, it's seats that matter. Because he's got a whacking majority at the moment, one of the biggest ever. But, in my opinion, Labour are finished. I think like this estimate, what was it, 99 seats. I mean, Keir Starmer said that 2019 was a low point, and when they got a bigger percent than they did this time, they get 209 seats, and this is saying they'll get 99 seats, which is like the Tories got that a while back. But both the Tories and Labour are finished, really. All the natives are going to vote for them as a protest vote, as I say, on this one issue, which is all that matters. And really, they should have a referendum on it, because it's the only thing that matters, in my opinion. It's you can either think of it as utopian, like the Mayor of London and Keir Starmer say, and Kemi Badenoch to an extent, or the total opposite is it's total anarchy. You can either think one or the other, you be on that spectrum in some place. So if you think it's utopia, you don't need to worry. If you don't, you've got to do a protest vote now. So at any council by-election or whatever, vote reform. do government petitions because they ignore them, but keep embarrassing them with democracy, because the electoral system's not fit. It was created in the 1850s or something, but the problem is that the Tories and Labour like it. And Rupert Lowe's embarrassing them in Parliament because he's coming in all the time and asking questions. And he's making all the other ones look as if they're part-timer parliamentarians, which is what they are. Not only officially, but they're even part-time because a lot of time they're not even there. I mean, the SNP for a while had a policy of turning up for discussions, and a lot of times it was mostly just SNP MPs that were there. None of the rest were there. That's what it's like most of the time. But I think the SNP have given up that policy. I don't know, but Rupert Lowe's the only one asking questions all the time, really. So he's embarrassing everyone, including his own colleagues, probably. Yeah, and I just wanted to show you this again. This is still in Bannockburn, because to me it felt like Scotland, the natives are so nice that they're just going to become a minority as fast as possible without any questions. But here we have Stirling Bannockburn, Reform 22%. I mean, I think a year and a half ago you couldn't even select a Reform in a YouGov poll, in Scotland, or else it was in the other section. And really what I'm saying is just use them as a protest vote on a single issue. We should really have a referendum on it. But a lot of Brits are so nice or so naive that I'm not sure we would win it now. On a sensible, is multiculturalism a good thing for the UK? Yes, no, I mean, Ireland get the chance recently through an indirect referendum. It was just, it was a very indirect thing to do with the natives becoming a minority, but the Irish people voted against it totally, 75% or something, probably more. The Taoiseach resigned, that guy who was very Justin Trudeau alike, and Nicola Sturgeon alike, sort of wokeness, peak wokeness, which I see as a supreme white thing because apart from becoming multicultural, I think there are things on women's rights, apart from women being allowed to wear the burqa as an expression of women's free expression in Ireland and Scotland. There's things coming down the line which I don't think they'll agree with, and it will mean that they're supreme white in their values, like female genital mutilation, or there is a possibility that MPs will support that and communities will want it, made official, and they'll be able to do deals with others against the minority natives. You do this, we'll do that against the natives. So that's good news, but it looks like Scotland's finally waking up. I mean, I can't believe the way it's changed over the last 10 years. I mean, Glasgow's a little London in the early 80s now or something. I mean, in the last 10 years, Glasgow's population's gone down until around about 1998. Since then it's picking up. I blame that mostly on the internet because people who don't like their homelands and have ruled out 3.5 continents, so they're only going to come to 1.5 continents really, or if you include Australia, basically just West Europe or the British colonies of America, Canada, New Zealand and Australia, basically. And yeah, I think that all started because of the internet. Then they found the ways to get here, and Labour made it much easier for them, especially 2004. And we also had the Second World coming through East Europe and that, and Russia, now it's changed from East Europe really to the global south in full. I think Scots are starting to wonder, native Scots are starting to wonder, I think this might not be utopia. They're possibly thinking that way. The only protest vote is Reform really, because if you SNP and Labour, they're in a rush to make the natives a minority faster than the Conservatives, who also want that to happen. Boris being the worst of the lot, Rishi being probably second worst, and Kemi probably being sort of same. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say about that. So it looks as if 24th of January might be Save Britain Day. I've not thought of a thing to call it. Save Women's Rights Day or something in Britain. Save the women's rights of Nicola Sturgeon and Yvette Cooper, as they envisaged it. Although they added the burqa as part of their women's rights as a British women free expression, how they want to express themselves. They added that later on, I'm sure they did when they were very young in politics, but they have now over the last 20, 25 years. Yeah, so I think that could be a very, very important day. At the moment, I think Reform will win 40% of the vote, 45%. Labour and Tory will be finished, really. Maybe not so much the Tories. It's looking as if some middle class people are holding on to them. I really can't see Labour. All the Northern Wall, traditional votes, they'll be gone forever. Rotherham, Southport, they won't forget what Keir called them, and what happened to their towns. So, Lib Dems, I really don't know about Lib Dems. I wish they'd just go away, basically. I mean, I've voted for them before in the past until I woke up, but I mean, Reform aren't good enough. They'll do just now as a protest vote, as an Overton window shift, until someone comes over that's saying zero. Ribberlow's sounding good. Still not saying zero. Because what's the point of something if you're just going to end up with anarchy? Yeah. Okay, see all these things that happen, like the Axel murder in Southport, David Amos, the bombing of Manchester, the London bombings, the guy who cut off a soldier's head in London, all these things, we're not to think of them as connected with something in any way. I mean, Keir did suggest it in his speech the other day after the Axel murder guilty plea, but I think he was trying to say no, it's not, when he went on about it. And he went on about how the Southport rioters were so bad targeting a mosque. It was so bad of those Southport. I presume he thinks they were busting far right. He doesn't think it was the Southport community who knew who it was and stuff, or maybe they didn't know because there was a void. Yeah, I really can't see anywhere. Labour, I think they'll need to go within a year or two, really. Not just because this is possibly existential. If you've got a pessimistic view of it, it needs an electoral system overhaul. It's not acceptable. Nothing about the current system made in the 1850s or whatever is acceptable. Yeah, so like I say, the 24th of January, keep a note of it. It might be the natives trying to save Britain, and maybe the same's going to happen all over the West now, because Trump just got voted in, and now he's detaining low-hanging fruit in the sanctuary, mainly in the sanctuary cities, but all over America, of people who have been charged with murder or whatever, released in bail, I don't know, maybe comfy Haiti or something, have been arrested. I've seen a few clips in that, Fox News. The sanctuary cities aren't helping the authorities at all in Boston, and that. If people don't like that, they can vote Republican as a protest vote. But that's why I would have voted Trump, So he's doing the low-hanging fruit at the moment. Yeah, so hopefully this is the day for Britain anyway. And maybe it was Trump winning the other night that's made these people feel that they could vote reform. It's okay to vote reform, because the left have told us you're the R word if you vote reform, or you're far R if you vote reform. So maybe Trump winning made it okay to do a protest vote in Overton window shift. As I say, the reform's far too soft on it. So when was Trump inaugurated? I think was it 20th? This was the 22nd. Yeah. So at the moment it's looking good, and Trump's all. Like I say, Trump's not fit for president, but on this issue, there's no one else to vote for. You've got to. Again, it's an Overton window shift. The system isn't fair. We need the Swiss democracy where they have quarterly referendums all the time. But like I say, on this issue, the natives may not win it, even though most of them want it, because they're so scared. They've been told that they're the R word if they want to vote against stopping Britain become an anarchy state, which is one way to view it if you think that. But your politicians are saying, no, you can't vote that way. You're the R word. Especially the Labour MPs are there to call you that. Call you. You've just to vote for them, and they'll call you the R word if you say anything about this. Okay, that's all for now. So I say to everyone, just vote reform as a protest vote in council by-elections, any chance you get. Government petitions to do with multiculturalism or immigration, you can sign them, even though they're not any use. It's embarrassing, the MPs who want the current system to stay. They'll regret adding those government petitions because in a way they'll act as referendums, in a way. Yeah, that's it then. Okay, that's all you can do just now. And in these, join YouGov, vote reform, and in the politics thing I'll ask you, what 3 things are you bothered about the most? Only select one, the existential one to do with this issue. Don't pick any other ones. You've really got to hammer home the message on this one issue. So I think this is why all this weird stuff's gone, because it's party hampers. You can't vote on one issue, you've got to vote party hampers. And at the moment, reform's the only one in town, even though it's not that good. As a protest vote, over to the window shift. Alright, goodbye.